We begin today's recording by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we are on. I am on Burrawang land. Where are you, Breezer?
I am on the land of the Djajarurrung people.
We pay our respects to the elders past and present and extend that respect to our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples who are tuning in today.
And wherever you're listening to the potty today, make sure you know whose land you're on. Join us each week for some booze-free banter about life without booze.
If you're entertaining cutting back your booze by a day, a week, a month, or for the rest of your life, we would love for you to tune in.
Buckle up and come along for a ride that may just change your life. If any of today's conversations have been triggering, please reach out to your local support centre in Australia. That is Lifeline 131114.
An Altina, Breezer. What did you
an Altina. Always an Altina, Maso.
Always.
Altino. I just call it Altino. Altina. Altina.
We've got all Italiano on them.
What are you drinking today, Maso?
In rose.
Well, I'm going to pretend because I've drank all my Altina because I love it so much. I'm going to pretend. Our listeners aren't going to know. They can't see this video.
No.
So I don't even know why I said pretend, but I'm drinking an Altina Sangria.
Oh, good one. The YouTubers will be cross out. They'll know you were lying. So you were just prefacing so. Breezer, what have Altina been so generous in giving our listeners what?
Oh, yes, a 10% discount code, Maso. 10% off your cans. So go hard, off your bottles as well. And the discount code is BFB10.
Which you'll find at, back to you,
www.altinadrinks.com. Thank you, Altina. Thanks for your
love
support.
You.
We love you. Maso!
Breezer!
Did I just catch you mid-cough then? Were you just about to do a cough?
Hacking away. Actually, by the time this episode drops, which will be the 2nd of January, this is exactly
Happy New Year.
I was thinking, you're thinking happy birthday. What's that New Year's song?
Happy New Year. I don't know. There's got to be one. Oh, what's the one they always...
Alden sign or...
it's raining men. Doesn't that always get played? Are you with me or is that no? Is that a hard no?
So sure about Raining Men.
Oh.
It's Old Town. Oh, I can't even pronounce it. Old Town
Road. We're all giggly, aren't we?
We are giggly. We've just been in the company of two boys.
Yes, two bloody legends. Two lads.
Two boyos. They're like, do you remember Sailor of the Century, how they had his and hers watches?
Oh,
We've just had his and We've just had the his and hers. We're the hers of the booze-free world, and they're the his of the booze. Yeah. Double up. We've just had a foursome with...
Pretty much.
We've been talking to...
We've been talking to Mitch and Will from the Last Drinks podcast. If you haven't listened to it, people... you can listen to ours first, this episode, and then go back and listen to theirs because just two blokes having a crack, two ex-piss heads, similar to ourselves.
Yep.
And what transformations they're going through, Maso, on their sobriety journey.
Unreal. They've been to rehab. They've really hit it hard. They've had a crack and they're just wanting to help humans with their stories and being really candid about it and
owning it.
Yes.
And owning it and going through.
Owning their shit.
Personal joke, peeps. You'll have to listen. But yeah, I don't know. I just loved how they're not perfect and they're happy to own that. And, as you're learning the podcast, they do say they've had relapses, but we always say they're learnings, don't we, Maso? They have, gone in and out of drinking and not drinking, learned from their little slip-ups or how we're going to call them, and become the best versions of themselves.
Yes. I love that. And just
young punks having a crack.
Just young punks on the Gold Coast, couple of hotties up there.
Yeah. Yep.
This is Old Lang Syne.
Can't hear it. Got nothing. Can you hear it? I can't hear anything. Nah, it's like I've got nothing. I've got crickets.
I've ruined it.
You've ruined it.
I was trying to put Old Lang Syne on, which is the New Year's Eve song.
Yeah, I'll have to just send it to me. Put it in the show notes. I can't hear Jack. I'm still going with It's Raining Men. It's at midnight they play it.
Those of you who know, I was butchering. It's Old Lang Syne. It's the New Year's Eve song that they sing every New Year's at 12 o'clock. But you're going with Raining Men. And here we've just rained 2 men on the podcast.
What a great, amazing segue. Should we get amongst it?
After me absolutely butchering that, let's do it. Let's bring the boyos on. Here they are.
Here
Will
they
and
are.
Mitch from the Last Drinks Potty.
Woo!
A big, warm, booze-free Bants buddies. Welcome to Will and Mitch from Last Drinks Podcast. Welcome, boys.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you
Thanks,
for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. You've heard the potty before, boyo, so we just love throwing you straight in the deep end with confession session.
Confession session, it's time to play. Where you tell us what you're ashamed to
Yeah,
say.
beautiful.
Who's going to go first?
You're welcome.
Yeah, strip us down before it begins.
Yeah, we didn't even buy you a drink.
Yeah, I know. Please.
Who's up, Will or Mitch? Who's going to dive straight in?
Well, I mean, it's one that I've shared on our podcast. I believe it's the travel episode that we did. It was on my last relapse traveling Europe. I was in Cardiff one night. I went drinking in a bar, got blackout drunk, went home with a girl back to our hotel room, had a one-night stand, woke up the next morning, was completely naked in bed, pulled the doona over, and I'd shit the bed, and I shit all over myself all through the bed. Like it was just it was a panic moment. And I was still drunk in the morning trying to clean up the mess that I made, I guess, this awful crime scene. And then the girl I was with woke up and to the look of horror on her face of what had transpired. And I stumbled out of the room and then went downstairs to try and get her another hotel room. But, you know, it was 6 a.m. and I think the whole hotel room was booked out. And then so I just paid for a cleaning fee and got out of there. I never saw her again. So that was probably one of the worst for me.
Oh, one of your greatest moments, absolute shitstorm. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, it was a shitstorm.
Oh, mate.
It's hard to top that one.
No.
I think
Oh, mate.
one I had a few years ago is me and a couple of buddies were drinking at their house, and we actually got quite drunk. And then towards the end of the night, we realised that Ocean Alley, the band, were playing in Adelaide, my hometown, coming up, and it was during COVID, and it was kind of the first festivals that had reopened. And so they decided to set up the festival so that it was in pods of 6, so small pods instead of everyone amalgamating in the one shared space. And so we thought it was a great idea to buy tickets while we were fully pissed. So I jumped on my phone, saw, yep, I'll buy 6 tickets, please. Yep, pay. And then I soon realised that instead of buying 6 tickets, I'd paid for 6 pods of 6, which was about $2,000. And then I was like, oh, fuck, I've got to get a refund. So then I'm trying to get a refund and I can't work it out. And we're so worried it's going to sell out. So I thought I better buy another pod just to be safe. I paid for another pod. So I ended up with 42 tickets for Ocean Alley, and there was only 3 of us. So that was a good time.
Massive fans.
Yeah,
Number
very
one
big.
ticket holders. Great
Yeah,
band too.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you get a refund, Mitch?
I did in the end. Yeah, I got the refund. It took a while, but I did. I explained the situation, and they were quite understanding.
They would have been shattered though. They would have thought, oh, bang,
Totally.
sold out.
Yeah,
So
so
this guy doesn't have that many friends.
that's right.
I found that getting refunds for festival tickets is quite a rigmarole. So you've done well. You've done well.
Yeah, we got there.
And Mitch, as for your story, I've got questions.
Yep.
So, I mean, sorry, Will. A big
Oh yeah,
fan of
Will. Yep.
I knew I'd get your names mixed up.
No,
at some
Will,
point.
Mitch.
We'll wear name tags.
Yeah, please. Will, I have questions. So it was obviously an away, it wasn't at your home ground, it was an away affair,
Mm-hmm.
being at her hotel. Yep. Did you get the job done? You obviously had a good night before you woke up to the shitstorm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I do recall a vivid, maybe one memory of perhaps going downstairs. That's about it. Yeah. Or what needed to get done got done, and then what happened afterwards was just, I guess, an awful constellation prize for this.
It wasn't a fetish, though. It wasn't like a crazy.
No,
thing you had.
it's not something that it's not something that I'm into at all, and and I think the question was, is it something that you would do sober? It's just like absolutely not, and I'm fingers crossed, hope that doesn't occur in my sober life now again.
Well, it's okay. This is actually the second shit story we had. One of our first guests actually shit in the bathtub, so you're not on your own here. So thanks for bringing on the shit story from the boys.
Trip. I mean, that was so that was the second one on that trip. So, but still didn't learn my lesson.
No, we never do we?
Nah.
It takes a while. This
is exactly why we share these stories. We're never doing this sober, so thanks for sharing that, guys.
Yeah, thanks, fellas.
So you met in recovery. How long have you both been sober for now?
Well, I've been, I guess, in recovery the last just over 5 years. I went to rehab in 2017, was sober for 2 years, just over 2 years. Then I went and travelled Europe. That's when I had my last relapse, and then I stopped again February 1st, 2020. So I've been sober since then. So
well done.
Well done.
Yeah, just over, I guess, coming up on 3 years now.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's
you.
awesome. Well done.
Unreal.
Yeah, I've personally, I guess I started the recovery journey almost 2 years ago, but I had a fairly significant period in there where I was drinking heavily again, sort of had a break and then thought, oh, I'm fine. I can go drink again. Everything's fixed. And then, of course, that wasn't the case. And then sobered back up at the start of this year. And then actually most recently I've been traveling for the last 3 months. I've only just got back to Australia. I went to the United States, and there I actually did start to drink again. But after, once again, everything fell apart quite quickly. So, I've gone sober again now, been sober for a couple of months.
Yeah. Well done, guys.
Fascinating.
Congratulations. Yeah. Interesting.
Well done to both you. I think in one of your potties, Mitch, you were saying that I think the first time was 3 months and you thought, right, I'm done. I'm fixed. I'm cured.
Yep, that's it.
I'll just have 1 or 2. And that was obviously a debacle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I'm just going to throw another question in because I had a trip recently to Sydney and I decided I was going to drink after 14 months. I was like, I'm going to drink. And I had one massive night and that was it. But what prompted you in this trip to the States, did you say? What was your little voice in the head that made you want to drink then? Or did you cave, or did you literally say, I'm going to have a drink? Or was it like, oh?
I did, yeah. I deliberately chose, I guess, because I'd always had this idea of doing this fun gap year where I'm going to hostels and drinking and partying, and I've had it since I was like maybe 20 years old, but I didn't get to do the gap year until now. Like I'm 28 now, and I guess I was so attached to this idea, I just felt like I'd be completely missing out. And we even talked about it beforehand, and I was real worried. And then I think I just decided that I was going to do it. But then after the first part of my gap year, it didn't go well. And it's not the same. I don't know. The shine's kind of been taken away now. So I guess I'm glad I went through it because I can say, well, I had the experience of drinking overseas and everything, but now I've been traveling the last couple of months and I haven't had anything, and I feel quite happy.
Yeah. Did you feel like because you're overseas it didn't count?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my Australian count. Oh, I've been sober for ages.
Yes.
Maybe I could do that. My Bendigo soda count. So tell us, boys, was there a mammoth moment that led you both to stop drinking the first, second, third time, whatever it was? Or was it slowly, an array of events that slowly built up over time? Can you tell us about that?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first, yeah. I think for me it was, just it was more of a slow burn. I've had a lot of awful situations that I've been in, awful things that I've done, which definitely made me come closer to stopping. But far too many times, 10, at least 10 or more really, really awful situations that wouldn't have happened if I wasn't drinking. And so I don't exactly have a definite rock bottom moment that changed everything personally, but yeah, a lot of lows over a long period of time where it wasn't funny anymore. That's kind of the point I got to. It's like, all right, this is no longer a joke. This isn't funny. No one's laughing. It's time to grow up. And
Make the
Yeah.
change.
Well, yeah. Great
Yeah.
self-awareness.
Yeah.
I know, because you're only a bit of a young punk, aren't you, Mitch?
Yeah, I'm young. I'm fresh
Yeah.
out. 28.
Yeah.
Fresh fish.
That's it.
Like
I know I'm
that-
fresh.
That was that.
What am I
was
worried
no,
about?
No way it would have entered mine or Meso's mind at 28.
No way.
Yep.
Was ramping up, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm still 28. What do you mean?
Yeah, of course.
What about you, Will?
Well, I mean, I don't have enough toes and fingers to count how many, episodes I had where this should have been it. I mean, you've just heard one of the worst, I guess, things that happened to me, and that still didn't stop me drinking. I guess the mammoth moment for me, I guess, leading up to when I did go to rehab in 2017, like I was drinking excessively every day. I was not only my mental state was kind of all over the place, but then my physical state, I guess, was deteriorating quite rapidly. Like I was getting regular episodes of gout at 25, 26. I was overweight. I think I weighed like 120 kilos. I was fat. I was then also experiencing insomnia for a period of time. And my solution to that was my solution to everything, which was just to drink. And I wanted to drink to pass out, basically. And I guess I had I was working as an Uber driver, and I had like a 3-month suspension on my driver's license as kind of some sort of incentive for me to try and get another job, because I didn't really want to be an Uber driver anymore. But in that first month and a half is just when my drinking accelerated. And I remember a bottle of rum a night was pretty standard. I used to joke I had a 12-drink minimum. So I'd have those and then probably have a bottle of rum as well. But I had one evening, it was like a Monday night, Tuesday morning. I had a bottle of rum and then went into my housemate's room I was living with at the time. He had a bottle of rum and I drank that, woke up the next day or in the afternoon because I was falling asleep at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, I drank 2 bottles of rum. So it was like a litre and a half of alcohol. And I thought something was just like, oh, this is like another level. And a couple of days passed, although I think it was like a day passed, and I just remember State of Origin Game 2 was on and we had a few people around, but the only 2 things I really remember of that time was, one, going down to the bottle shop and buying my housemate another bottle of rum to replace the one I drank, and then texting mum and asking for help. And then within 48 hours, I was in a rehab facility. That would have been one for me.
Yeah.
I do have another one for my after my relapse, but we could talk about that in a moment. But that was kind of the big one.
Yeah. Well, you can now go for it. You can lead on with carry on.
Well, I mean, that one was, because I went to rehab, got sober for 2 years and kind of prioritized health and fitness and working to save money to go travel Europe, which I achieved. I guess I lost a lot of weight. I got kind of an idea on how to navigate getting in sort of shape and eating properly, because that was always something that I never really took hold of efficiently. And then when I eventually got to Europe, first day in London, I think, relapsed. And that was a 4.5-month bender through Europe, all sorts of nonsense going on. Got back, drank for a bit. I was living back at my parents. They didn't know I relapsed, so I was hiding it from them. I moved out to a rental close by because I got a job. And the first night living there, I went out to a bar, got drunk, stumbled over to McDonald's, I think, just binged on a whole bunch of lovely Mickey D's. And then I started, I started messaging some girl on an Instagram. And then I've just, as you do, and then I've said something probably sexist or something offensive to her, and she's blocked me. And then I woke up the next day and then that was it. I haven't had a drink since. It was I was sick of what I was doing. And it's kind of strange because I have a track record of shit that should have been when you stopped, and that wasn't it. And this little moment was the gift, I call it, that was presented to me.
Yes.
Was it you, I think, Will, that used to text people and then delete them before you woke up the next day? So
I did that all the time. Yeah, I would send, because I was not, I guess, I guess when I had get an emotional response, it was just quick to react. So I would text, I guess, but really sort of awful messages, I guess, to people, and then as a cop out in a coward's way out, it's just, well, I just delete the messages, and then the next day it's just like, oh, I don't, and I'd black out and wouldn't remember doing it.
Yeah.
And if I guess the excuse, if it was ever brought up, is like, oh, sorry, I was just drinking too much, and that old thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. When you were talking about the rum that you were drinking, and thanks for sharing that, guys. I know they're hard subjects to go back to and sort of pick the scab off sometimes. I hear when you were drinking those bottles of rum, Will, you were numbing, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you want to unpack that a little bit?
I guess it stems back to, I had a relationship breakdown in my early 20s. I mean, basically at this time, like once I turned 18 and I was able to buy alcohol legally, and I kind of had this notion in my head that the point of life was just, I guess, a pursuit of hedonism, which was just drink as much as you can, behave erratically, and try and hook up with as many girls as possible. And I did that for quite a while. A lot of drinking, a lot of partying, a lot of, just whoring around.
A lot of pussy.
And then I met someone, and she then made me feel things I never felt before. And I thought, well, this is nice. This is a nice entity that's growing, and maybe I could try and pursue it. But I already had this other entity that was steering the ship that's just like, no, fuck that. Just, pursue pleasure, pursue what you want to do, be selfish. And, so when I was with this person, I was unfaithful the whole time. I don't know how many times I did, shamefully. And then, but I guess during the time I felt invincible, and then, but it was a train wreck waiting to happen. I mean, I got caught out and had to tell her what I did, and to see her, I guess, her heartbreak in front of me was just hit me, and I was just like, fuck, what have I done, sort of thing. And when I didn't find the courage to find any reason to take a permanent solution, because I just didn't have the guts, I just thought, well, I'll leave it up to chance and just numb out with alcohol, and if I didn't wake up the next day, so be it, and just go on a bender for the next probably 5 or 6 years, because I didn't really know how to deal with, I guess, the grief and the ramifications of what I did, or didn't want to deal with it. I guess I just ran away from it, basically.
There's
So
so
that's
much
where
power.
sugarcane champagne came in.
Was it? Yeah, I was actually wondering, what sort of rum was it? What brand for rum?
It was mostly Bundaberg rum. I'm a proud Queenslander, so you got to get
Rum
stuck
pig.
into that. The fighting juice.
That's right. Exactly.
Been to many BNSs
The,
on the rum.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for sharing that. There's
Yeah,
a lot of
thank
power
you.
in your message there
Thank
too, that I
you.
think people can really go, yeah, I'm running away from stuff. I can really tap into what you're saying there. Thanks for sharing, guys. So your friends, loved ones, family, what's the support been like and the pushback? And what's your response been like since you've taken your sobriety journey?
Yeah, well, I think for me, it's been received very well by my family. They think it's a great idea. I sort of have a family history of alcohol, as many people do. So for them to know that I'm choosing not to partake, it means a lot to them, because obviously it means I'm going to be more likely to have a better life and avoid certain traps that maybe my forefathers didn't. So they've been really good. But in terms of friends, it has been difficult, particularly friends that I used to drink with. They don't really take it all that well.
Right.
I think because for me, maybe a major difference between Will and I is Will obviously has had a lot of external behavior that's quite apparent to most people, whereas drinking really affected me a lot more internally. So maybe when I was drinking, it didn't look that bad. I did a lot of stupid shit and hurt people and things like that, but probably not more than the other people that were around me. But it was more what was happening internally to me that they couldn't see. That was one of the major reasons that I stopped. And so they sort of don't understand why, because they just look at me and say, well, mate, when we drink, you're fine and
Yeah.
whatever. So why are you stopping? So, yeah, it's been difficult. I've had to build distance from some of the friends that I had, but I've now made a lot of new friends because I relocated from Adelaide to Gold Coast as part of my decision to sort of seek out a better life. And since I've been up here, I've made, really good friends, including Will, and that's sort of how it all started.
That's unreal.
You just said that major decision. Why? What was your why?
As to why I moved up?
As to why you stopped drinking.
I mean, I guess the major why was because I felt like I was just on a sinking ship, like I saw a counsellor, and because I had, I guess depression, anxiety, which seems to be pretty common nowadays, but I guess I didn't really see the point of living too much anymore. I was kind of getting to the point of like, I don't really see the purpose of life, and it seems meaningless to me, and I would just drink in a cycle. And that was the only thing that kind of gave me meaning. And I guess that was really what made me stop. And speaking to a counsellor, and after the first session, she told me I have a problem with alcohol, and I was like, oh no, it's not. It's just everything else but alcohol. It's my job. It's it's everything else, but which maybe was part of it. But alcohol was a huge piece of it, of what was causing sort of poor mental health.
Wow,
Yeah.
That's tough, Mitch, to hear that where your thought process was there. So thanks for sharing.
No worries.
And to step away, because you were in quite a sort of, alpha male environment, I think, with your work and sport as well. So you sort of had it coming from every angle, no matter which way you looked. Yeah,
exactly. Like I was in construction industry for 7 years. I was playing footy for a long time, and then I was also in the Army Reserve there for a while there. And so all those guys, it's a heavy drinking culture. Like I remember I was at work, and when people found out I stopped drinking, and like they were calling me boring and things like that. Like, oh, like you don't drink. Like, what do you do for fun? Like, what do you do on weekends? I don't like. They couldn't understand, and like it was kind of negative from them, and that's another reason why I had to leave that workplace. And once I left that job, that's when I moved up to the Gold Coast.
God, it's so ignorant, isn't it? It drives me despair. It's like,
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because those industries, it's so deeply entwined with everything that they do that for someone not to drink, it's just doesn't compute.
Yeah,
totally. It's not, they don't understand.
What the funniest thing we ever hear is, and I think I probably used to say it too, is, never trust someone that doesn't drink.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What a load of bullshit. It's ridiculous. Like,
they're the most reliable people.
Yeah.
They'll rock up on time, that they won't black out on you.
Yeah.
Their prefrontal cortex is intact, making good decisions.
Yeah. Fuck those guys.
To you, Will.
Yeah, I mean, because I gave drinking alcohol a red hot go. I was probably the best at it of everyone that was around me. So when it came to that I was going to try and quit and change my life, I think it was very well accepted by, my friend, my family. I do remember, supposedly, the couple of friends I knocked around with at the time, they were looking to do an intervention for me, supposedly, because I was just wasting away. It never sort of came to, because I guess I ended up seeking out help with my family. I mean, I had a sort of a rocky relationship with my parents and my siblings at the time, because they were just like, look, we love you, but if you're going to continue doing this, we can't be a part of your life. And so I just took that as arrogance, like, well, fuck, I'll just fucking go do my own thing. And so when I then decided to try and get sober. I mean, even when I went into rehab the first day, I thought I'll give this a year. There was still a part of me that just thought, oh, well, what else? Got nothing to, nothing more to lose. So, and then the work, I guess, even when I relapsed, I decided when I quit again, and I quit on my own, and I was sober for a year before I told my parents that I relapsed. And it was funny. I was really nervous about the conversation because, like thought, well, I've fucked up, I'm a failure and that sort of thing. I sat down, my parents like, yeah, when I went to Europe, I relapsed. And my dad just goes, yeah, we kind of thought something was going on. Your face was getting a bit bigger and like
a bit redder.
Yeah, but they were straight away just like, you got it sorted, like it's all good. And Mum went into it when Mum went to, I think, like Al-Anon in the rehab, so she kind of got more of an understanding. I mean, both my parents' background is medicine, and so Mum's dealt with sort of, I guess, addicts in her practice, so they kind of had an understanding with it, and they sort of, Mum would say, look, the statistics of people leaving rehab and staying sober for the rest of their lives is like 5% or something. But it doesn't mean you don't give up. I mean, I don't see my last relapse as a negative thing now. I see it was just the last nail in the coffin for me to finally kick the bucket, and where I'm feeling confident now that like sobriety is the way forward for me.
Yeah, and keeping those sheets clean.
Absolutely, yeah.
We actually had it. Sorry, Will, go on.
Yeah. Oh, and then just, I guess, with friends, like I had changed my entire, I guess, friend group. I guess the people that I kind of just drifted apart from the friends I was living with before I went into rehab. But then I spent a lot of time on my own for that first couple of years. And then it wasn't even really till the start of this year, I guess, coming down to some of these communities we have here on the coast, that I really started to make friends, and then joining the men's group Brotherhood, where I've met Mitch. I've met plenty of other cool guys in this group that's really actually finding friends that not only that I can get along with and connect with, but that actually respect the fact that that I don't drink is really sort of really good.
It is.
Don't you find there's just this really wholesome connection with people that are sober?
Mm.
Yeah,
like it's a whole different level. I don't know. It's extraordinary. There's definitely a sparkle and a connection and a bond in people's eyes when they're off the booze.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of times I thought that I'm getting into these D&Ms with people around glass tables at 3:00 in the morning, and then you don't remember a word in your head. And then, like, even just meeting, we're sitting and chatting with the guys, and we're having actual in-depth conversations about life and stuff, and it's actually sinking in, and I'm actually paying attention, and I'm actually absorbing what my friends are saying. And so it's like, I actually haven't done this before. It would just go blank over my head if I was out of it. Like, I just wasn't present because I wasn't available to be present for any of these moments with people.
No.
Can you guys explain what Brotherhood is? What the organisation?
So it's a men's wholeness group is what it's marketed as. We do workouts on the beach and the bars in Burleigh Heads down here on the Gold Coast I guess most mornings. Then there's a breathwork aspect to it afterwards. So it's, you elevate, I guess, your heart rate with the exercise. It's rigorous exercise. It's always a challenge. And then we bring it down, I guess, with some breath work and, I guess, light meditation and connection afterwards. We're in a group chat together where we set intentions every week. It's just basically creating a community of men striving to be better.
Yep.
How gorgeous.
Unreal. Love it. I want in on that.
Yeah, can we get in somehow? Just before I move on to the next question, Will, you said before about the intervention. If that had happened, how would you have responded, do you think, at the time?
I may have, there's part of me I might have rejected it. Like, I knew deep down I had a problem, and I had confided in a friend at the time that I knew I had a problem. Mm-hmm. And multiple times I'd said I would change. I mean, one that comes to mind was even, I wrote a big Facebook post. I'm going to change, after fucking up one night.
Were you drunk when you wrote it?
Yeah, probably. Oh, no, I might have been hungover and just reaping the wounds of my sorrows, and just, thought, this is going to be it. I'm going to change. And then a week later I was drunk and I deleted Facebook. So that was my solution. And I was probably drunk for another year after that. But and then I'm not sure how it would have gone, but I guess I don't really need to, because I guess I found my way out of the darkness in the end anyway. But
you did it on your own terms.
I had faith in my friends at the time if they would have put something like that together, because they weren't the sort of I don't know.
Fair weathered friends. What about now? How do you both feel about alcohol now? And the reason we put this question in is because when Mason and I first stopped drinking, like we read so many books, we listened to podcasts and really educated ourselves on booze. And we were sort of like, we were a bit like anti-booze, weren't we, Maso? Like we were a bit full extremists.
Yeah.
But we actually had a conversation with a guest, and he has never drank booze before, but he sees a place in society for it. He's like, if there's a celebration, I love seeing people celebrate having a few drinks. He goes, but, then there's a few handful of people that will take it to the next level. So my stance on booze it does change. There's a bit of a moving target, I feel. How do you guys feel today about alcohol?
Yeah, I mean, I think alcohol for some people can be great. If you're able to have a couple of drinks at a party on a weekend and it makes you feel a bit looser and a bit more extroverted and you're a bit more friendly and you're fine the next day, or even if you can just go out and party, once every couple of months and it doesn't bother you too much, maybe do small silly things, I think it's fine. It's just that some people shouldn't drink, and I think I'm one of those people. I think Will might be one too, maybe.
Maybe.
So yeah, that's kind of. I think I don't think it's necessarily the most evil thing on the planet. I think it's just it seems to catch some people, and that's kind of what I think of alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might be completely biased for my situation, but I just think most people would be better off without it, and you become a better person without it. To just not be reliant on it, I guess. But at the end of the day, everyone's got to make their mind up about it. It's not going to go anywhere anytime soon, particularly if there's incentive from the government to tax it through the roof. So it's ingrained in our culture. I mean, especially in Australia, we chat to people in New Zealand, the United States, the United Kingdom, all over the place. But yeah, how I feel about, I know for me, I don't want to go back and pick my head around the door again, because I had my relapse. It wasn't any different than it was before. And what I'm doing now and where I'm heading and where I want to head is alcohol is going to get in the way of that if I was to tap into it again. So I'm done with it.
Yeah, it's a handbrake.
That's how it's marketed to us. It's marketed to us as this beautiful, fun,
sexy,
amazing.
Hot. Yeah.
The reality is it really can totally mess your life up.
Yeah, there's a Corona with a lime on the beach, bunch of beautiful girls with an esques. It's like, well, that looks well. Is that how you get the girls? All right.
Yeah. Oh, is that all? That explains a lot.
And the big fuzzy rum bear. They just want to hug.
Yeah, they don't show you
cuddly,
they don't show you the Holiday Inn and the sheets after the shitstorm, do they?
No, they don't. They should.
Yeah, they should. They absolutely should. So then tell us how the podcast started, guys. What was your vision? What's your message? Has it changed from where it started to where it's going now?
Yeah, well, it started because Will did a podcast as a guest, actually with the Brotherhood podcast. And you talked about your experience with alcohol.
Yeah, so that was the first podcast I'd ever done. So it's called the Brotherly Love podcast. It was episode 18.
Oh, We'll pop their cherry. Well done.
Yeah, so that was a new experience. And then I believe Mitch had just come into the Brotherhood at the time. That's when we met and we clicked, because I guess we had a similar interest of sending it with alcohol. And I guess at the time, Mitch was still, coming off the drink or still drinking from time to time. Okay. So I was helping him, give him tips and tricks to sort of navigate off that. And then you pitched the idea one day, would you be interested in doing a podcast talking about alcohol? And I thought, I didn't have much else going on at the time. I thought it'd be a good little project to explore. And then one afternoon we were in Mitch's apartment. We put a microphone in the middle of his dining room table. We didn't shut any of the glass doors. So you can hear all the
street noise.
All the street noise. We had two of my iPhones on Kmart tripods, and then we just hit
Yeah.
record,
Brilliant.
and then we just had a conversation, and that was the first episode.
Love that. Ours was similar.
Yeah.
I was in my car scabbing Wi-Fi from the local library.
Nice.
Nice.
Very good.
So I love it. That's so good.
I love your podcast.
Yeah.
Your podcast. Yeah, your microphones, boys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love your microphones.
We've upgraded. We've made it. We've made the big time.
Yeah.
And based on I've had this conversation, if you don't like hate the first episode that you produced of your podcast, then you haven't improved.
Or you've started too
Yeah.
late.
Or you started
too-
Yeah. If you're not embarrassed by the first 5 podcasts, you started too late.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in terms of how it's changed it, I don't think it's changed too much. I mean, we've probably got, we've been really lucky having some really awesome guests. Like, I think we've been pretty fortunate having some really cool people up here in the Gold Coast that we've been able to have on. We've had a good diversity of people from all different backgrounds, and I guess we're still just striving to put the message out that if you don't want to drink, that's absolutely fine, and if you need support or you need someone to listen to and tips and tricks, then it's a good place to come.
Love
And I
that.
think coming from 2 Aussie lads on the
Yeah.
Goldie, like that,
Yeah.
it's a powerful message within itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool capital of the world.
Yeah.
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 Couple of toys. Couple of toys.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I mean, our original vision we had in the first episode.
Oh
was
yes, of course.
Yeah, well, we wanted to get so big, we wanted to be the biggest podcast on alcohol.
Yep.
That alcohol companies would come to us and say, "You're ruining our business. We want to buy you out." So we'd just go out and just sail off into the sunset.
We're going to go to Mexico and just drink until we die.
Amongst other things.
Yeah.
We'll see you at Coco Bongo, boys.
Yeah. See you there.
So,
But it has changed, unfortunately,
Yeah.
since then. But,
obviously there is a better
Alright.
method now, which is just having a conversation around alcohol and just asking questions. It's just it's questions that I was never asking myself. Why am I drinking?
Mm.
Is drinking serving me? Would my life be better if I cut back a little? Maybe 11 drinks a night. I don't know.
One of that.
Yeah.
Half a bottle of rum. I don't know.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. We're the same. Ours started off. We're actually now our tagline is "Prob's the best sober-ish podcast" because we just we talk to guests that still, that have gone back to drinking or that have had a bout of sobriety and gone back to drinking. So all the colours. That's what we want. But speaking of your guests that you've had on Last Drinks Potty, which guests have moved you the most or have rocked you the most?
For me, we had a man who lives here in the Gold Coast named Drew Wild, and he's he's a really interesting character. He was in rehab and addicted to drugs and alcohol from quite a young age, and he's been sober for a long time now, maybe 10 years or more. I might be wrong, maybe a bit less, but he was sober for a really long time, and he's now involved with sort of healing practices and dealing with trauma, and that's how he works. He works with a lot of other people doing that, and he's like a sobriety coach as well. And he's done so much inner work that he's now come to a place where he can drink again, and he finds he can have 1 or 2 drinks, and he finds that the addictive part of his personality is no longer there. And so I guess we'd been talking to people that had been completely sober, and to hear this guy who is kind of breaking all the rules, I guess, in terms of what I'd heard at least up to that point. We had a really great episode. It went for quite a long time, but that was probably the one that really, really rocked me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What number? Oh, we'll find it. I was going to say, what episode number is that?
I was thinking the same.
Can't
I think it was 9. There was 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Drew Wild was.
Look for the wild one. Yeah. What about you? What about
But he was a wild one, yeah. But that was interesting. I mean, there's a few people that we did chat to that it was like they had issues with it, and they got sober, and then they've explored inviting it back into their life with a different relationship, which was, I guess, an eye opener for me, because for me it was you just stay sober and then that's it. Like, you don't go back. That's for me. I guess it's opening my mind up that other people might have other ways of living, and they can do so if they so please, and it doesn't dramatically affect their lives or anyone else's around them. So,
Yeah.
I mean, for me, the episodes I've enjoyed, I guess, even a couple of the episodes where we just interviewed members of our brotherhood community. There was an interesting one with a member, Reese Terry, who used to do all sorts of, he was beyond alcohol. He was using all sorts of drugs as well, and he had a really bad car accident. But the main one, for me, it's actually the most recent one we released is with this personal trainer, Darcy Cogdale. That's my reaction to his, because that was a whirlwind of a story. It was nearly a 90-minute episode, and he just didn't stop for the entire thing. And I re-listened to it the other day, and I thought, yeah, this is probably going to be one of our most popular episodes, and it's already proving that. Like, it's getting heaps of traction on our social media and even views on Spotify. And,
Love that.
Yeah.
I did see the. I haven't listened to it yet, fellas, but I did see it on his socials. And like, whoa, buckle up for this one.
Yeah.
It's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
When it was done, I was like, I'm gonna take a breather. But he's a really great guy, and like, to hear it paints a full picture of sort of where he was, where he ended up, and what he's doing now. It's pretty incredible, and it's a testament that you can change your life if you're willing to do the work.
Yes, love this.
I'm gonna tell listeners, because this actually, boys, we probably didn't tell you. This episode is dropping on. You're our first episode for 2023.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
I'm gonna tell our listeners what number. Well, what number was it, boys? What number was that?
It's 23.
23.
Yeah.
Yeah, 23.
This is a man who throws coffee in his face each morning as a part of his morning routine in the shower. So
Why?
there's a little teaser.
So, he explained it. It started in jail, where he, how he used to have his cold shower in the morning, and that's when he would have his coffee. Was when he'd have his coffee in the shower in the morning, and then he was filming it one morning, I guess, when he got out eventually, and he just kept doing it. And he just one morning he randomly just, I guess, threw the coffee in his face, and because he's just like, let's fucking go. Because a mutual friend of mine introduced me to him. Like, she's like, I met this guy in the gym. I think he'd be really good for your podcast. And he messaged me, and I was like, okay, I'll go look at his profile. And that's the first thing I see is him throwing coffee in his face. So I was like, yeah, I like this guy.
We're on.
We're on here.
And
You're colourful. Yeah.
So he's a character, but he's a great guy.
Love that. I'm sure there'll be lots of that. His situation will inspire others to get curious about their relationships. So love that. Then tell us, boyos, the highs and the lows of sobriety.
Oh, I guess I suppose I'll start with the lows. I think the lows of sobriety was probably, for me, it's more the initial adjustment and the grieving of losing friends and having to change your environment, because the advice that I'm sure you guys have touch on it a lot too, but we talk about environment all the time is so important for sobriety and to change it. But obviously part of that is loss and experiencing the loss of your past life. And even part of my personality, because I used to have this, I guess, in social settings, really outgoing and silly and just being, probably a dickhead, but I thought I was being, funny and witty or whatever. And I guess it's just losing that part of me and just changing the way that I live. So it's probably just dealing with that change is really the low point. But in terms of the highs, my health is as good as it's ever been. Like, I've ran a marathon in the middle of this year, which was awesome. And I've just lost a bunch of weight, and I'm lifting heavier weights than I have before. I've got a lot more money. My relationships have improved. I've got better quality friends now than I've ever had.
That's unreal.
It really does make a big difference. Yeah, it makes a big difference to your life. I'm making better decisions with my life because I'm not making impulsive choices while I'm on the piss. I'm actually using my brain, so that's good.
And can we
That's a
also
win.
commend you? You actually both look so fresh and
Yeah.
healthy. Your skin's
I know.
glowing. I know. He's giving it a
The
bit of
ring
I know.
It's the lighting.
The lighting.
It's a Photoshop filter we've got going. That's what it is.
I did get some
working.
sun this morning. Anyway,
Well, it's working for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was your, where did we get to? Lows and highs. Highs and lows.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably it for me.
So many highs.
so we're going to be cynics and start with the lows.
Of course.
Yeah.
I love that. Finish
How
on
we
the
like to
positive.
roll.
Yeah.
I guess like the adjustment. I had to basically find new friends, and for a long for my first stint of sobriety where I was very socially isolated, partly because I thought that the goals I had at the time came first, which was just getting my health and fitness in check and then saving money to go travel. So I wasn't going out or socializing or anything, and that became really difficult. I guess I have bouts of social anxiety from time to time. And it can be quite challenging, but I guess what I realized after relapsing in Europe was I avoided this for 2 years and I still relapsed. So I guess I'm going to have to dive into the deep end and just get uncomfortable with it. And I mean, the first thing I did was I went to a speed dating event on my own to really sort of challenge myself. And
Love that.
I made a male friend at the end of it. So that was
Nice.
that was
We'll take that. That's a win. That's a win.
that was
Yeah,
the
friend.
thing about it. Yeah.
Friend.
Friend.
Yeah.
It was a it was a heterosexual event.
Okay.
But I mean, the highs of there's just you sleep better, you feel better, you don't wake up wondering what the hell did I do the night before. You don't wake up, what did I say? The bed sheets are clean, obviously.
That's the one.
That's a big win.
There isn't carnage and like a trail of wreckage behind you. My relationships with my family are better. I've got friends. I can connect with people. I can, my health's never been better. I mean, I had an inflamed liver, I believe. And my doctor was sort of, your liver's a bit inflamed. There's no sort of mention of maybe quitting drinking. I remember when I first got gout, they were, it could be a couple of things. I was like, okay, what are they? And I think it was like shellfish and like yeast. So I was like, unless I was eating like cartons and cartons of Vegemite. When he said alcohol, I was like, yeah, that's probably it.
I'd say so.
So, my liver went back to normal. Uric acid levels went back to normal. That's what causes gout when they're too high. There's just the positives in sobriety for me. They're just endless, and I just know that that's the way forward. I still struggle, I guess, with my mental health from time to time, but I think that's just a part of living. I did kind of have this hope that, all right, well, I'll quit drinking and everything will sort itself out. This is the only thing I have to do. And
constant work.
That was one hurdle that I had to to get over, certainly. But cutting alcohol out of my life has made, I guess, approaching the new challenges way easier. And like I'm healthier, I'm fitter, I feel better, I look better, clearly.
You're glowing.
Fat and just a mess. So there's any number of things that sobriety way better.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've actually got a question for all three of you because I've sort of been thinking about this as the podcast has been going on, thinking, these boys would be fun to go on the piss with. Do you, like, honest, like, and I've met people in the sober community in Melbourne and my head goes, they'd be fucking so fun to go on the piss with. Meso, do you still have those thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, me and Will have talked about it before because Will's got a spa out here and it's straight across the road from a pub. We can see into the pub. And one day I quit my job in a haste and I sat there and I was fuming and we were like, why don't we just go get pissed? Why don't we just go get drunk in the pub? What would happen?
And
so
also,
we do, yeah.
Also, the casino is also across the road as well.
Boys.
Yeah.
There's a few mates of mine as well. They're like, I bet you'd be a weapon on the piss. It's like, yes.
Yeah. Full stop.
Yeah.
We don't, I don't half-ass it. We give it 110%.
Yeah. We hear you.
We go out for a couple of drinks. No, we're going to have 100. Like,
Yeah.
that's a minimum, like.
Yeah, absolutely. 5 years to make up for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
know
that question, Breezer. Do you feel the same? What's your answer?
Oh, shit, yeah. Yeah. Like, even potentially every day if I'm meeting someone new through work, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, they'd be fun to get on the piss with.
Yeah. I really related to what you were saying before, Mitch, about that loss and grief that you have when you remove alcohol. And I miss being loosey-goosey and being a bit leery and being,
You're
I thought it was
great at
being
it,
fun,
Marco.
but I was mouthy.
Yeah.
So I miss that part of me as well. I miss those. Oh, thanks, Breezer. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
good fun. Always great fun.
Thanks so much.
So.
It's a trade-off, that's life, isn't it? If you fix any problem, it introduces new problems, and that's kind of what it is. You become sober, it does introduce new problems, but they're relatively minor compared to the problems that were before.
The chaos.
There's an old part of you that has to die in order for a new part of you to grow.
Yeah.
It's the ex-boyfriend, isn't it? You miss them a little bit. They were bad. They were bad news. Yeah.
I did see it as sort of like like I was in an abusive relationship, but I guess I was putting the abuse on myself.
Just the bed sheets and the bottles of rum.
Can I tell you a quick story about that whole bed sheet shit yourself situation? Kate Beckinsale, Kate Beckinsale? She was on famous English actress.
Yeah.
She used to put like a little chocolate, like a mini fun-sized chocolate in her husband's bum crack. So that we woke up in the morning, you'd have this melted chocolate that she think was poo.
Oh, that's great.
But this is when he'd been drinking, mate, though.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something else she does that's funny is when she stays in a hotel, you know how people put their food outside the door when they're finished with it? Their trays. If there's chips, if there's fries, she'll have a fry on the way past onto.
Wow.
She'll eat some hot chick random. I like it.
Maybe that's what happened. Maybe someone put chocolate in your bum crack. Maybe she. Maybe that's what happened.
There was a lot of chocolate.
Maybe it's a king size block.
Does chocolate trigger you now? Will, is it a trigger?
I still eat chocolate. No. There's no trauma from.
Okay, great.
I've had to
work through. That's great.
It's all the process.
So tell us, boys, apart from our podcast and your podcast, what other tools would you recommend or advice would you recommend to our listeners? Because our listeners are a mix of they're sober or they're sober curious. So what's some advice or tools that's worked for you?
I'll probably say a great book is The Easy Way to Control Drinking by Alan Carr. I'm sure you guys may have read it or at least heard of it.
I've read the Darling one.
Does one on smoking as well. That's a great resource. There's a really good podcast by Andrew Huberman that he did recently on alcohol, which unpacks the neuroscience and health behind alcohol. So that'd probably be in terms of like straight resources. There's like two really good ones. And then in terms of advice, I would say it's important to find your tribe. That was what my counsellor was telling me the whole time I was with her, over a year, and I was really struggling in it. And now I have found my tribe, and it does make a big difference. So finding your tribe, and which is pretty much the same as changing your environment. It's virtually the same advice. So yeah, that would be my key ones.
Are we in your tribe, Mitch?
Pardon?
Are we in your tribe?
Yes, absolutely.
Woo! Yes, we'll be best friends.
Welcome.
Welcome to the tribe.
Yeah.
We get tattoos and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Branding.
Yeah.
For me, environment's the same thing. It's important to surround yourself with people who love and support you and want to encourage you to make a change if you will. If you're curious about quitting drinking for a period of time, or if you want to quit entirely, having that around you is good. Because being around people who don't support that is just going to cause friction and tension. And, for the most part, if someone has a problem with you trying to, make a change in your life and improve it, it says more about them than you. So I don't put myself around people that don't want the best for me. And it's still, this other piece of tip or trick, I guess. And it was the one thing that stuck with me. And it was a clip that we put up on our social media, and you guys just showed it on yours today, and it was this simple advice when I used to go to AA meetings a bit. And I mean, even for your environment, that's a good place to start, is to go to an AA meeting, because you're going to be pretty safe there with a good bunch of sober people. But yeah, one meeting I went to, this guy got up there, he had a couple of years of sobriety, relayed his story about, I don't know, I won't go into that, but yeah, the one thing he did say, he just said, I just didn't have a drink today. And that just stuck in my head, because the way I interpreted it was, you don't want to think of it as this, I want to quit drinking forever. I mean, the amount of times I woke up the next day saying I'm never drinking again, and then I'd be drunk that afternoon. Again, like hundreds of times. And to just bring it back down to simplicity and just focus on today. I mean, that was what was relayed to me in rehab. That was, from going to AA meetings for ages, was just don't have a drink today. And if you can put your head on the pillow at the end of the day and you didn't have a drink, you won the day. And then just set yourself that small goal every day, and then the days will add up at one point. You might have a month, might have 2 months, 3 months, but I certainly think that taking, I'd say at least 3 months is kind of a good period to really sort of see a change in your life. But you also have to, I guess, with removing something from your life like alcohol, you have to put something else in. So be proactive and brainstorm things like, what do you like to do? Find out hobbies or try new things, to keep yourself occupied. I mean, keeping yourself busy is always a good way to steer clear, instead of just sitting there with your thoughts, twiddling your thumbs. You just get bored and then just think, oh, this is shit, and then you'll just end up at the pub again. So those are probably my tips and tricks.
Love those. Great advice. Alcohol-free drinks. What was your initial thoughts, and how do you feel about them now? Do you have a go-to boozy drink? AF drink, sorry.
I think I drink them sometimes. Like I think last night I had a Heineken Zero. Yeah. Drink them a bit, or there's Sober, which is like a craft beer, which we did a podcast with Clinton, the owner and operator of Sober. But I don't drink them a lot, I will say. I probably drink more like diet soda, like Diet Coke or Coke Zero and Pepsi Max and things like that. But yeah, I do drink them a little bit. I think Will actually said something really good to me early on, and it was kind of this saying of, if you drink, I guess, too many alcohol-free beers, or if you're knocking back 6 to 12 Heineken Zeros a night or whatever, like you kind of directly replace it, then like you said, how long do you sit in the barber shop before you get a haircut? Like how many times, because you go into the botlo and then until you have a bad day, how long is it going to be until you go the full strength? So I guess I try to limit them, but so like for parties and things like that, but it's not too often.
Yeah, the first one for me would have been Heineken Zero, and I mean, for me, old habits don't die. Like when I was struggling with feeling anxious in social settings, I'd be smashing them back 10, 12, 15 of them just consistently with no issue. You don't get drunk, you just get bloated. But
go to the toilet a lot.
I guess it was just my coping mechanism. And I mean, the Heineken Zeros work for me most of the time. I like Heaps Normal as another,
love them.
One that's popped up. But a lot of the time, I just keep it simple to soda water and lime. And I preface this that you have to order it as soda water and lime, because if you say lime and soda, the amount of times that bartenders reach for the vodka bottle and then just sort of start, because they just assume, lime and soda, vodka, lime and soda. And I actually had an incident. I was on a date and I said lime and soda, and the drink turned up and took a sip of it, and I was like, I think there's vodka in this, and gave it to my date, and she drank it. She's like, yeah, there's vodka in this, and then went to the waiters, like, asked for a soda water and lime, like, oh, sorry, and then got but that was just a lesson learned. So, and
I like that.
You get funny looks, you just want a soda water and lime, like it'd be good for both of us. I mean, there's some. I think it's great that there's just other options out there, especially for people who might not have had issues with alcohol like me and Mitch did, but just, they want to go out, they want to be a part of it and mingle, but then they could just have a drink in their hand that looks like a drink, and then just navigate around and not draw attention to themselves. Because it is that we don't really, I guess it's people sometimes, we just want to get by and not bother and just, and it always, I mean, for me, it always, it's like, oh, you're not drinking, why aren't you drinking? It's like, oh, started here. And
Here we go.
Yeah.
That's it. They're good camouflage. It's good camouflage blending into a crowd.
Yeah.
It's even like drinking a soda water and lime, like it can look like a
vodka
beverage anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it's interesting you say that, because like Mason and I both drink them. I probably drink more. We'll just say it. Like I'm having one now, an AF beer.
Yeah. Same.
But like I have always got alcohol-free beer in my fridge, because it's a bit of a ritual for me to come home and crack, not every night, but just to crack a can, especially in summer, and just have a beer. So for me, AF drinks are the number one reason that I've stayed sober.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So for me, I'm comfortable with them and confident that they're not going to trigger something in me.
Yeah, for sure.
But I totally get, it's great hearing different angles of that, because Meso, when she first tried them, you were really worried, weren't you, Meso? That
I thought they were a bit triggering. Yeah. And then I was going through a breakup at the time, and I was knocking him back like I would alcohol to numb. So I was really getting stuck in, really giving him a touch up, but backed off now and can use them sparingly or special occasions or podcast recordings.
Yeah.
So, it's good. Rapid fire questions, boyos. I've got 3 questions for you. Tell us, what makes you feel happiest?
Oh, I just feel the happiest. Maybe after my happiest moment is probably like after a big workout, and then you're just about to have like a massive feed, and you're just completely, that buzz after that would be probably mine.
The endorphins pumping.
Yeah,
completing one of these rigorous exercise routines that we do.
Yeah.
And that's the reason you do them, is because how you feel afterwards, you just go through the pain to get to the pleasure on the other side.
Yeah. With the boys, of course, especially after the it's a big bunch of lads. We just finished a tough as workout, and then we're all getting like coffee and eggs. That's a pretty amazing feeling.
Cookies and eggs.
Yeah, CrossFit. Is it sort of CrossFit or what?
Similar, yeah. It's like interval training. Yeah, so we do like 4 days of interval training, which is like CrossFit, and then 2 days of strength training.
Unreal.
Yeah, it's like weights in the gym.
Yeah.
So good. So
beast
good.
Mode.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. What makes you feel the angriest?
Oh, when my football team loses.
Who do you vote for? Mitch?
Adelaide Crows, which is all the time.
Pretty much.
What makes me the angriest?
I got pretty angry the other day when the computer wasn't working for me properly. Technology that lets you down. But
tech can really blow things out. Can really take.
How do you feel about right-hand drivers? The people that drive the right lane but don't actually overtake.
Oh yeah. There's a few that went down south on the weekend, and there's
around.
Like, what are you doing in this lane? Get out of it.
That infuriates me.
Yeah, and I get angry when people toot at me. Don't toot too soon. Don't toot, and then don't toot at me. I give them a toot back.
Yeah,
they toot as soon as the light goes green.
Yes.
You haven't got a moment to say, hey.
Let me put it in gear, bro.
Calm down.
And last question. Yeah. And what makes you feel the sexiest?
Ooh,
sexy.
Sexiest. Probably after a workout, to be honest. Probably looking at myself in the mirror, double cobras, shirt off. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, good. I guess you're getting a good pump on, and then strutting down the beach and your budgie smugglers,
I got it.
Launching it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good, boyos. All right, we're on to our two last segments. So phone.
Phone fuck ups. All right. Well, mine was a few years ago. I was changing jobs in South Australia, and throughout the week I'd sent my resume in, and I was sort of negotiating an interview and whatnot with a lady that worked in the human resources department. And that weekend, of course, I went out to celebrate the potential of a new job because, I needed a reason to go out and drink. But I went out and I was in a nightclub until really late, and I got really fucked up. And I remember just like half blacking out, and then trying to like text my girlfriend to come pick me up at the time, but then couldn't get a hold of her, so I had to get a taxi home. And then I remember later the next day I was going through my messages and I realized that I was just texting absolute gibberish to this HR lady that I was trying to get the job from, and I was like, it didn't even make sense, but it said like pick me up and just all this crap in there. And yeah, surprise, surprise, I didn't get the job. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
Oh.
I mean,
Did you delete them? Did you delete the text like Will does to pretend it never happened?
Yeah, I think I did afterwards, but I was just like, oh, fuck. Like that's,
No coming back from that.
she never replied, and I was just like, yeah.
Ghosted ya.
Yeah, I got ghosted by the HR lady.
Oh, says a lot.
says a lot about her character.
Yeah, I know.
That's right.
Lighten up.
I mean, so I used to make, I still do, like I make social media content from time to time on Instagram and TikTok, but I used to make stuff on, there was an app called Vine back in the day, run by Twitter, that got shut down, and then there was Snapchat. And I've actually got, it's on my computer, I got archives of videos of myself trying to be funny, but a lot of the time I was drunk and hungover and just looking very under the weather. And so that's a lot of, and I've posted it from time to time on my social media, I guess just as a way of sort of like, this is what I used to look like. I mean, look how fucked up I used to be. And I guess all the people that I know now just can't fathom it, because like all they've seen is this. They haven't seen this whole other person that I used to be. But I had what else did I have? I mean, I was in, when I was on that Euro trip. I mean, this was after the incident with the woman in Cardiff. I was in Amsterdam, and as Amsterdam is an interesting place with, you know, where you can partake in weed and mushrooms. I didn't take any mushrooms. I did get stuck into the weed and the booze, and it's actually so. Yeah, it's just a couple. I think I was in there for a week, just blind, drunk, and stoned the entire time. And the last night, one of the last nights I was there, I met some American girl, went back to her place, was about to sort of, I guess, get down to business, proceeded to get up, go back into the toilet and throw up in the toilet, come back into bed, get up again, go throw up in the toilet again, come back, get into bed. I think this happened a couple of times. And then the only time I can think I ever had any rational thinking, I just decided, I think I'm going to go. And she's like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. So I left. I was traveling with my iPhone, but I didn't have any, I didn't have a working SIM card. So I was going off Wi-Fi, but I did get a offline maps. So I managed to sort of download it and just stumble my way home. I passed out in the street at one point and eventually stumbled home to the hospital, woke up and my phone was gone. So I woke up in a country without a phone, which, was just another one of those things where it's just, you're just like, what the fuck are you doing? And this is probably a month into my 4.5 month trip in Europe. And what was funny was when I met a couple of Aussie guys in Berlin, and I relayed that story to them, and they're like, oh, mate, I'm on my third phone. I lost everything. And they're just keeping on. They don't give a fuck. It's like, all right, well, maybe just have a more positive attitude to it.
Don't be such a Debbie Downer.
Get over it.
I actually
the only thing I was upset about was I didn't back up my phone. So all the photos, I lost all those up until that point, and then went into the Apple store to buy another phone, and then was very cautious, I guess, from then on in. But it was
we only do that once, I reckon. One fail backup, one whole troop of photos that we've lost. I did that in Mexico as well. But I just relayed the story from our last episode that'll drop before this about Amsterdamage. It chews you up and spits you out, doesn't it, Amsterdam?
Yeah, I got right into it.
Yeah, same. Gave the mushies a good touch up.
It's time for the recommendation of the week.
I read a really good book recently called Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. It's a pretty popular one, but I would recommend that to anyone who hasn't read it.
He's a genius.
Particularly if you are seeking a better life or more, I guess, a more positive outlook on the meaning of life. It's quite a good one.
Yeah, awesome. Can we talk about they're the hottest couple ever, him and Rani?
Was that
Who's
Jay
that?
Shetty?
Yeah,
Jay
yeah.
Shetty's and his wife, just a couple goals. Anyway, carry on.
Couple
Just a little
goals.
moment, just a little moment there.
I haven't seen his wife. I've only seen Jay Shetty.
Yeah, I haven't
Oh.
seen his wife, but
No,
I will now.
too.
I'll be sure to look her up.
Yeah,
That's Meso's reco.
yeah, that's my record.
Yeah.
Circle back, you'll agree. You give me double thumbs.
I guess it stood out for me. Recommendation is just be open-minded and try something new, and just go into it. Just step over the resistance that you might have to it, and discover whether you enjoy something or you don't. I think we always just sort of step outside our comfort zone and try new things, and whether it is giving up alcohol for a bit and exploring that, just be open-minded to it and give it a go. And if it's for you, great. If it's not, well, you get to learn something about yourself. I guess it's just that's my recommendation. Just try something new.
Love that. And I think even when we're drinking, we're very open-minded and try all the things, don't we? We try all the drinks, all the drugs, go and do all the stupid things, so we can translate that into sobriety. We can break down those comfort zones, and it's really empowering when we do that. Guys, you've been unreal. Where do we find you? Tell us.
Well, my home address is
And the sheets are clean.
Yes.
sheets are clean. Yes. So we're on Instagram and TikTok, Last Drinks Podcast. We're on YouTube, Last Drinks Podcast, Apple, Spotify. I believe we put it on Google as well, but mostly Apple Podcasts and Spotify is where you find our episodes. Social media is Last Drinks Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And that's where you'll find us.
And you'll find
the ruckus.
you'll be our new profile pictures because we're all best friends now. So
Yeah.
That's right. Exactly.
Actually, I've been impressed how it's worked today, because I was a bit like, we haven't done a foursome before, have we, Meso?
no, and
Sorry.
look at us go.
Look at us go.
Awesome.
A quadruple.
It was on the bucket list as well, so I can tick that off. I've had a foursome today.
Yeah.
Had a foursome, and it worked well.
Yeah.
Oh. You guys
I
have
went
been
for an hour. I went over an hour. That's a personal record.
That's the record, yeah.
PBs, well done.
well, we
Guys have
thank
been
you.
awesome. We could both talk for much longer, couldn't we, Meso?
We really could, but we just thank you so much for your time, and just we're all sharing the same message. We're kind of girl boys versions. We're his and hers versions of each other, aren't we? Like,
Yeah, a little bit.
we love what you're doing. We know that everything you're doing, there's no price you can put on helping people, and we're all here for it. So well done, boyos.
Well done, fellas.
Yeah.
Good work.
Thank you for having us. It's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You can
It's been
come
good.
back anytime.
This podcast is proudly produced by our audio engineer, music extraordinaire, Eric Ladd.
We love you, Eric.